um, Getting ready for the 10K with my wife this weekend on Sunday. Looking forward to doing that with her. Absolutely no training outside of the few runs that I did early on until she got hurt, and then I didn't think we were really gonna do it, but here we are. We're still gonna do it, but it's good. It's all about having fun with her, and something that she does every year. She has for the last 5 or 6 years. So she always talks about wanting to run it. I think this was the first year she was really ready to do it until she got hurt, and then that didn't happen. Or I mean, maybe she still will, right? She might actually run this, surprise me and run it. So then I have to run it because I told her I'd beat her. But it's good, you know what I mean? I love my wife, and I said that a lot in the last few videos because we had our anniversary and stuff like that, and then some of the topics just kind of dealt with it, right? But today, I talked about suffering reveals our true selves, right? Sufferings reveals our true selves. And I believe that to be true, right? We can fake the funk all we want. We can act like we're something that we're not, but when the pain comes, when anything comes that throws us off our normal game, I think parts of us get revealed, right? There used to be a show called Bay or Bell, right? And what it was like they would put couples in situations to see how they would respond, right? Typically, the idea is the man is to protect the woman, right? Just talking about gender norms, not necessarily saying that's the way it should be, right? But that is the way it should be. But you would get to see like how the guy really was in those situations, right? Whether it be an altercation or like a ghost popping out or something scaring them, and sometimes you'd see the guys literally throw the girl in front to the monster or to the guy or whatever that was scaring them. Sometimes you saw the guy do the righteous thing and jump in front and go to fend off the offender or the monster or whatever. Sometimes they just ran, right? Just took off, left the girl behind, just took off running. And then sometimes you had the odd one where the girl jumped out in front of the dude and was like ready to chuck him or whatever. But I think that's kind of like a segue into what I was talking about, right? Like who you are shows in those uncomfortable situations. We can talk about being strong, and we can talk about being tough and all those things, but like when pain comes, things about us get exposed, right? And I was listening to Andrew Tate motivational thing today, and it was crazy because literally every single one talked about the same thing. And so I figured this was something God either wanted me to pay attention to or talk about myself. But he talked about, as if most of you don't know Andrew Tate, he's a huge influencer. Started out as a kickboxing champion and then went into basically speaking, writing, and lots of people have used his content in different settings, and he's a very toxic masculinity type of guy who promotes like 100% male dominance in a very good way, right? Like he doesn't beat his women. He's very much like the man is the strength, the backbone, and the heart of the family, and it's up to him to protect, provide, everything, right? If there is a word of strength when it comes to the family unit, it's describing the man, right? And that's the way he firmly believes in and speaks on in that way. He was arrested. They charged him with like sex trafficking in Romania, and he he was later released, and then he's been rearrested. I don't know if he's out yet or if he's still incarcerated, but his video was talking about while he was in prison. He's a billionaire, right? While he was in prison, and the one meal they got to eat, he got arrested during Ramadan. I guess he's Muslim, and he got arrested during Ramadan, so they were given one meal a day. And he would talk about the sufferings that he had to endure while he was in there, right? And the one thing he told his brother was, I'm okay in here suffering if my family is taken care of. The ones that I love are safe. He goes, I couldn't be in here suffering if my family wasn't okay. If they were suffering too, I wouldn't be able to be that. And one of the things he talked about was like making sure that he, as a husband and a father and a son, provided for his family, so that no matter what happens to him, he's provided for and taken care of, or they're provided for and taken care of. That the wife never has to go to work. She can always just focus on the kids. His mom will always be well taken care of. If anything happens to her, she has the medical and the money to provide the services. But I think like when we're suffering, right? He could have been in his cell crying every day, whining about trying to get out. But he said when my family would call me here, or I would call them, they would want to ask me how I'm doing and what's going on. He's like, I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about you and how you're doing, right? Are you guys good? Are you okay? Because if you're not, I will fix it. As much as he probably could from prison, but he would say, I will fix it. And that's what he says. Like, no matter where my family is, and no matter where I am, whether I'm incarcerated or not, I still have to provide for them, right? I still have a job to do. And he goes, it doesn't stop because I don't, in my mind, don't have the ability to do the things that I want to do. And I think about like, and this is first world problems, right? But like when things get tough in our home, whether it be financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I, as the husband, have a duty to correct that for my wife, right? You guys have heard me talk about during COVID, we didn't know how things were going to go. Churches got shut down. We all got locked in our homes. We couldn't go nowhere. And so like my wife kind of panicked about like, what about the mortgage industry? Because she was, for the most part, she's the financial provider for the family, right? She's the breadwinner here. And I have no issue saying that. So if you guys take issue with that, that's on you. But she makes way more money than I ever will. And she's like, what are we going to do? Your salary alone won't pay our bills. I went out and got another job, right? Like I said, I got you, babe, I got this. And she's like, no, you don't, right? And she started to reveal like she's never been able to like completely rely on a man to take care of her, right? Because she's never had one who wanted to do that. And I was like, I got you, don't trip. And I didn't know this at first, but I would tell her I got her, and I went out and got another job, right? I started delivering packages for FedEx and to bring in more income. And then when I got another job offer to go and work in Hanford as a discipleship pastor, and ended up quitting the FedEx thing because I was getting paid more to do the pastor thing. But I was still trying to provide, right? Like the pressure that was on my wife, or the stress, or the whatever you want to call it, that was weighing on her, me as the husband had a responsibility to take care of it. Now I could have did the same thing she did. I could have started panicking and started tripping and doing all this crazy stuff, right? Not to say that she was crazy, but I could have. And so I didn't want to say she was getting crazy, because she wasn't. It was a natural response for her, the way she was handling the situation. But I have a responsibility to take care of her, right? When the chips are down, what am I going to do, right? And the one thing that all these guys who have been doing all this speaking have really kind of hit on is, in suffering, we grow, right? And I believe that to be faith-based or human-based, right? We grow in times of struggle. If I'm a person of faith, when my life gets really rough or really hard or whatever you want to say it, I turn to God. and I ask God to strengthen me, to help me, to support me, to pick me up, to hold me, right? To hold me, to do all these things. And so in those moments, my faith is growing too, right? But I also get revealed if I have faith or not in those moments, right? I can think of lots of times where I'd get phone calls from people who are people of faith and like, why does God hate me? Why does God not love me? Why is God not accepting me? Why is all this happening to me? And I'm like, well, who should it happen to, right? Like God is helping you in these moments right now, right? And I always try to take them to the footprints in the sand poem and say like, these are times that God's carrying you. Like you're not alone, right? Even Psalm 23 says that we're not alone. Like God walks through the valley of the shadow of death with us, right? Like he doesn't just send us to the other side and say, hey, I'll see you over there when you get there. No, he's like, no, I go with you, right? I walk through the valley. I'm your shepherd, right? Here's my staff. Like I'm going to take care of you in these moments. And so like, but I get to see if I really have faith, right? Because I may panic and be like, oh my God, God's not around. He's not here to help me. But I get to see like how I really think and how I feel and how I react to situations. And part of it is like, I love the struggle, right? I just told one of the guys that I work with, I said, I'm not doing any sugar anymore, right? He's like, does that mean you're not eating fruit either? I said, no, I'll eat fruit because that's a natural, right? It's a whole food. I'll still eat fruit. I said, but I won't be adding sugar to anything, right? Like there's no processed sugar, no nothing, right? Like, so I got to find a way to do my ribs and my barbecue stuff because if I'm not eating sugar, then I got to figure it out because it's coated in sugar. But there's lots of people who think that that's not something that's possible. Even he said, man, sugar's in everything. Like, how are you going to do that? And I'm like, I have to be more aware, more attentive, right? More focused on what I'm doing and why I'm doing this, right? And I'm not doing it to be some weirdo or something like that, but it's not something that's easy, and it's something that's going to grow me, right? It's going to strengthen me. It's going to make me better. I said, it's time to level up, right? It's time to become the best version of me possible. And I know how I get, right? I know the weakness that I have when it comes to garbage and sugar. One is too many and thousands is never enough, right? That don't apply to dope anymore. That applies to me eating stuff that kills me, right? And sugar kills me. I'm obese, right? Because I can't stop eating garbage. And so I need to cut it out of my life, right? Like, and that's what the program's taught me, right? Is like we have to eliminate the things that cause us pain in any area of life. Like I gotta cut it loose, even if it's gonna be hard. And I was telling my wife last night, I said, you know, what's crazy is the same thoughts I'm having about what life will be like without sugar is the same thoughts I was having when I got clean off dope, right? Like, who am I gonna hang out with? Who will I talk to? How will I do this, right? Like, what's life gonna be like? Life's gonna suck, right? And I used to think those thoughts about getting clean. And I said, but it's in my spirit that I need to do this. It's in my spirit, right? Like God is letting me know this is something that I need you to do. And I'm going to do it, right? No weak punk here, right? Let's do this, right? Let's go. Let's do it. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? And I told her for a split second I wanted to negotiate with the weakness, right? I wanted to be like, well, just give it a good effort. And you know, if you eat sugar again, you eat it. Screw it. No, it's not okay. Because then why don't I get loaded again? Be like, oh, if you get loaded again, it's not okay. To get loaded is to die. It is. To sin is to die, right? Like, no. So to eat sugar is unacceptable. Unacceptable. So we're not. And I wasn't going to make that decision until January 1 after I did these 6 months. But I was like, if I'm going to do the 6 months, might as well just go. Like, run it, right? Run it. So we're going to do this, right? I want you to think about the times where like you suffered in your life. Like suffered, not just had like some little pain, a little uncomfortableness, but like suffered. And like, what did you do? How did you handle it? What things about you were revealed, right? Were the ways you thought you saw yourself like true, or were you exposed for a fake and a fraud to yourself? And that's the hope, right? The hope is that the things that we think about us get exposed in those moments so that we can fix them and get better. I want to be tough and strong for my family, but if I'm not, then I need to figure out where am I missing. And what do I need to do to get better? And so I just wanted to let everybody know that God loves you guys, man. And he provides everything for the challenges that come in front of us, right? Like he is our strength. He is our support. He's our backbone. He's everything. He's our rock. And all he asks us to do is to stand upon him, right? Stand upon him and claim victory in him, that he's conquered death, right? I tell people all the time, man, we already know how the story ends. He wins. He wins. So why do we act like we don't know what's going to happen if we trust him? I don't know. Why do we? And that's probably one of those things. We get exposed because we don't really have the faith we think we have. But he wins in the end. So why wouldn't we trust whatever he says to do just to do it? Because at the end of the day, I want to reign with him in heaven. I do. I want to be in the pearly gates with Jesus. So I'm going to trust him with whatever he says. So if that means giving up sugar for him, then let's give it up, right? Like, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, of course it's in everything. The enemy wants me sick. He wants me sick. I'm not going to give it to him. Get behind me, Satan. Get behind me. So I just wanted to let you guys know that God loves you, and so do I. And I hope that you have heard something that helps you here, that suffering does expose us. But it's good, because then we get to learn about who we are and what we need to improve upon and where we need to go and where we lack. God's got us. I hope you know that God's got you. He loves you, and so do I. I hope you have a great day, and God bless you.